Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/Entitled People. In today's episode, patient's boyfriend mad he has to pick up his own Uber Eats. Oh, you work for a cruise line? I want a deal. Stepdaughter's entitled boyfriend lands them homeless, carless, and adrift. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Patient's boyfriend mad he has to pick up his own Uber Eats. I work in a high-level hospital as an ICU nurse, and my managers are fantastic with staffing. Meaning if you have a crashing, heavy workload patient, they'll make the other patient you have an easier one so you can focus on the sick one. For a background, ICU nurses have 2 patients and we specialize in critical thinking, whereas the telefloor is the normal part of the hospital people think about and holds less sick people who don't need as much attention, so these nurses have 6 patients and specialize in tasks and prioritization. So the beginning of my shift after report, I show my face and say hi to my less sick patient who is doing fantastic and just waiting for transport to take her to her telebed. I say I'll be back around 9 p.m. in 2 hours, unless she needs me for something, so this gives me time to stabilize the sick patient next door. Unfortunately, the sick patient in room 1 starts coding, and the team is actively doing CPR. Crash cart in the hallway, 3 docs here, whole team to try to save this young dude. My team is working on meds, intubating, keeping compressions going, etc. while I'm talking with doctors about what could have caused it, and I'm halfway outside the room for the healthier patient in room 2. She sees me through the window, presses the call light, and I ignore it because I have what should have been obviously very pressing matters. Her boyfriend ends up opening the door and standing in the doorway to just stare at me with his arms crossed. Just to give them the benefit of the doubt that she could be concerned about her health, I say, "Is everything alright?" And he goes and tries to lead me inside. Of course I only pay attention to him when the docs go into room 1 to brainstorm on their own and assess where to go if we get the guy back. I look back through the window of room 1 and realize I can give them 5 seconds to make sure nothing funky is going on. So she says, "Can you get my Uber Eats order?" It just said it arrived downstairs. I swear I could have had a stroke from high blood pressure at that moment. So I kindly say, "I'm sorry, I'm busy with another critical patient. Could you?" I look to the boyfriend who's plopped in the recliner with his feet up watching Netflix again on his phone, "Go get it for her?" And he goes, "I'd rather not." Oh. Good sir? You don't want to? You saw the mess next door through the window, me talking seriously with 3 docs, and the hot mess of people outside your room as we try to save a life. So I tell him I can't. The entire team is actively trying to save someone and none of us are available to leave, so either you get it or I can have someone get saltines for you instead. He sighs, gets up slowly, and then says fine. I guess I'll go get it then as I turn to head back into room 1. Dude literally has to turn his shoulders to slide through the massive group of people, still pissed he has to take 1 elevator down. When they get moved to another room around 10 p.m., he's speaking loudly on the phone. Someone saying things like the nurses are rude, they won't even get food for their patients, etc. The icing on the cake? She had just gotten off an insulin drip for being in a diabetic coma. Never have I met a more entitled person who put having to walk and get their own food delivery above someone else's life. I can't imagine bothering hospital staff with such an ignorant request. I don't care if the nurse had been sitting there playing Candy Crush on her cell phone for the last 30 minutes. Uber Eats has nothing to do with the hospital, why on earth would I bother staff with it? My hospital just instituted a rule that nurses and techs are not to leave the units to get food deliveries. If there's a family member who can go get it, fine, they can order it, and the family has to go get it. It was getting out of control with patients and their family ordering shit and expecting us to go to get it. We had one point who ordered 3 to 4 times a day. Don't even get me started on the fact that most of the people ordering food were getting food they shouldn't be eating. Cardiac patients ordering fatty or high salt meals, diabetics ordering sugary desserts, etc. Oh, You work for a cruise line. I want a deal. Years ago, I worked for one of the large cruise companies at their headquarters. Pay was meh, but I did get nearly free cruises and great deals for family and friends. There was a few catches though. 1. Taking advantage of the deal meant you had to behave yourself on board. Certain passengers feel they have a right to act like total assholes to crew because they paid for that right. Crew does their best to deal with it. Want to be an asshole, then pay full fare. You don't get to do that on the discount trip. And if you do, and it's bad enough, the ship is calling corporate and they are revoking the employee's cruise benefits. 2. If you have trouble paying your bill at the end, alcohol or other onboard expenses that were charged to your account, the ship will call corporate and the employee who sponsored the guests and vouched for them by agreeing to cover any unpaid bills gets called into an unpleasant meeting. The thoughtful, responsible relatives never dreamed of asking for a discount trip. I had to offer in order for them to use it. The alcoholic second trophy wife of a cousin-in-law I barely know tells everyone at a family gathering how excited she was that I was getting her a deal. Didn't ask. Just assumed. So I lie and say, "Oh no. I'm so sorry, alcoholic second trophy wife I just met, I only get one deal a year and mom got this year and granny got the next." Nuts. That would have been so fun. You're more polite/patient than me. I would have been like, that's news to me. You ever heard of please? I can't stand pushy people like that. When I was in college, I worked at Disneyland. They give cast members, employees, sign-in passes to the parks. 3 people per sign-in. My great aunts and uncles just expected me to sign them in. I lied and said sorry, can't, immediate family only, they check IDs, they don't by the way. My much younger cousin worked there, and even though I assumed she got a discount for family and friends, I would never assume she's going to give it to us. I took my family and asked if we could meet up for dinner, and she offered to get us in, and I declined as I didn't want to put her out. She insisted and I accepted, but people that just assume that someone else's career is going to benefit them automatically is mind-boggling to me. Stepdaughter's entitled boyfriend lands them homeless, carless, and adrift. I call my stepdaughter's entitled boyfriend Wreck-It Ralph, no relation to the trademark cartoon, just coincidental naming. He has a tendency to break/ruin/tear up everything he touches. My stepdaughter, who is actually a sweet and endearing young woman whom I love dearly, has, like many young women with self-esteem issues, allowed herself to be led astray by WIR. In the year they've been together, she's lost everything, but at 23 she is old enough to learn her lessons without us parents coming to her rescue until she gets rid of WIR and back on track. When they first got together, they lived with her dad and myself for a few months. It very quickly became apparent WIR had a chip on his shoulder when it came to me. He would carry tales to my husband, causing us to argue, despite my husband telling WIR many times that was my house and everything in it was mine. WIR would keep asking my husband, not me, if he could have this or that, and that's if he asked. He kept getting more and more animals despite our telling him no more. Neither were taking care of the ones they had. They weren't buying dog or cat food or cat litter, my husband and I were. They weren't picking up the messes, and they weren't training them, allowing them to tear up our belongings. Mary Jane is legal in our state, and there is a dispensary in our town, and the only work these two would do is door delivery, her job with a daily payout, just to get enough money for WIR to make a purchase at the dispensary every day along with eating at fast food restaurant. WIR's chip on his shoulder when it came to me was such that they brought my husband a soda one night, walking in the back door right past me, calling out loudly, "We got you your favorite soft drink," to my husband in the living room with zero inclusion to me. Another example is my stepdaughter asking if she could use my debit card to go get the 4 of us drinks at a local convenience store one hot day. My husband and I were unloading stuff from the truck and trailer in the backyard, which was no problem. However, when checking my account, they spent $20 on food for WIR without asking. The end came when I told them they had to replace the bedroom door their dog chewed the bottom out of, and refused to allow the pit bull mix they wanted to rescue, even though it had a bite history, to enter my home. They moved to my stepdaughter's mother's home at that point. During their time there, my stepdaughter kept getting tickets in her car, which is only registered to my husband. They weren't paying their insurance, which I had bought my stepdaughter her own policy and paid the startup out of my money when they lived with us, and didn't pay the plate renewal. Now her license is suspended, and it cost my husband and I $600 to get the plates again in his name, only unsuspended. Plus they had damaged the car and it needed repairs. So he took it from them. Before her license was suspended, but after the police took the plates from her car, my husband let her use his truck, which was on my insurance policy. WIR drove it, and he has no license, and blew the motor in it. It is now sitting and can't be used. I told my husband I would put the car on my insurance for him, but only if he drove it. If he returned it to them, I was canceling the insurance, which I've stood by. Nevertheless, WIR called daily demanding my husband return the car to them once it was legal and fixed. After 3 weeks my husband finally said, "Look you dumbass, I don't know what it is that you think you're trying to accomplish here, but you're not demanding anything from me and you're not getting the car back. I may have originally bought it for her before she got with you, but it is my car in my name and I'm keeping it in lieu of the truck you ruined. Don't call me again about the car. Got it?" We had been hearing of ongoing disputes between my husband's ex and WIR. Things got so bad there that WIR told my husband's ex-wife to pack her shit and get the F out of her own home. Another time he told her to shut the F up and remember who she's talking to. So we all decided it was time to let our daughter hit rock bottom, since she wasn't seeing how WIR had taken her from being a sweet, lovable, well-liked and responsible girl in a college nursing program to this person with a criminal history and no prospects at the moment. My husband's ex-wife moved in with her boyfriend, turning the power off at the home she had been renting, and told her former landlord, whom she was actually longtime friends with, she wouldn't allow it to affect their friendship if he evicted them for squatting, since neither were on her lease to begin with. When my stepdaughter called wanting to come back, my husband told her she could, but WIR could not. Now they are staying at a homeless shelter in the town where WIR's mom lives, and WIR's mom won't let them live with her either. We hate to see her go through this, but this entitled WIR she won't let go of has really brought her down, and she can do so much better. This guy actually told us once he couldn't work at a factory that he interviewed at because it was climate controlled and his heart condition won't allow that, then argued with me and my husband that climate controlled meant controlled by the climate, so it was hot in summer and cold in winter. We haven't seen him hold a job or do anything useful and productive since they've been together, just demand from and use the people who love the girl he's become a cling-on to. WIR is an absolute piece of s. ####. I'd go so far as formally trespassing him from your property and going no contact with him. Your daughter will at some stage hopefully see sense, but it may take time. Hopefully, and before she has any children with him to boot. I'm calling my parents right now to thank them for everything. Weird, considering I'm a skilled writer and editor. It's showing on my feed as having paragraphs and proper sentence structure. I apologize for any difficulty you have had in reading it and don't know the issue between writing and upload. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.